For over a century, the Duluth Armory has played a vital role in the community. Located along London Road across from Leif Erikson Park, the seemingly normal brick building is actually hollowed ground waiting to be explored.
The historic Duluth Armory was built in 1915. It was built for the National Guard and the Naval Militia, which was a little unusual at the time since we have this great big lake out here.
As a result of its use by the National Guard and Naval Militia, the Duluth Armory contains several significant military stories. On one hand, it was home to the 125th Field Artillery, who after training at the facility went on to see the most consecutive combat hours of any unit during World War II. On the other hand, the sailors of the USS Ward also trained here before they went on to fire the first shots from the American side outside of Pearl Harbor.
But like armories of its era, it served both a dual purpose. It served both as a center for the military, but also for the community. The function for the community was really a gathering, event space. This is the place where the community came together to see, big political rallies and to have exhibitions of the cars and things, new cars, Model A's and T's and whatever back in the day. But it was also a performance venue. The Armory was the place that the Duluth Superior Area Symphony Orchestra got started. And that was a major effort in the day to bring culture to our community.
Beyond local acts, the Armory also hosted a number of international celebrities.
So some of the people that have graced the stage, we've got like Johnny Cash and Louis Armstrong. The Beach Boys were here early in their career. Patsy Cline was here. So this stage right here has seen, these just amazing, the who's who of talent from the early 20th century. The most famous, concert, though, I think of all, for the Armory was the Buddy Holly concert, the Winter Dance Party Tour, 1959. And that concert ties in the story of Bob Dylan. So Bob Dylan was born in Duluth and grew up in Hibbing. But he was just in love with music. He was an early rock and roller. Remember, rock and roll really only started in like the mid-late 50s. And so 1959, rock and roll is still new and radical. Bobby came down, met with his friend Louis Kemp, and they came to see, Bob's hero, Buddy Holly. Bob Dylan stood right over here, there's a star on the floor, and, was right on the stage and looking up at his hero, Buddy Holly, playing right here. And just there was this moment they connected, Bob talks about it, and he got a Grammy Award in '98 and he got a Nobel Prize.
And I just wanted to say that one time when I was about 16 or 17 years old, I went to see Buddy Holly play at in a Duluth National Guard Armory, and I was 3 feet away from him, and he looked at me, and I just have some kind of feeling that he was, I don't know how or why, but I know he was with us all the time. We were making this record in some kind of way.
And then another part of that story is that it was only 3 days later that Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper died in the plane crash, outside of Clear Lake, Iowa. That was a tragedy. You're a senior in high school, and all of a sudden, you've seen your hero, you're elated, you're, on this high, and then to lose him like 3 days later, what an impact just emotionally.
For all its use in the early 1900s, by the tail end of the 70s, the building began to fade.
The Guard sold the building to the city of Duluth about 1978. It ceased being a place where people gathered. The building slowly fell into disrepair.
Fortunately, thanks to developments over the past decade, the Armory is currently far from shutting down. In fact, Mark aims to make the space a beacon for Duluth's arts, culture, and music once more by 2024. Already, a new addition known as the Armory Annex is used by several local artists as a workspace.
Working in this area is really rewarding. Duluth is really friendly towards artists. It's really beautiful here. There's a lot of raw rock and wilderness, and people are really supportive of local artists, which is amazing and definitely doesn't happen everywhere. It's nice, but you don't have to be super clean because my work is not super clean. It's messy and hot, and sometimes I light things on fire. This is a place where that's okay. It's also affordable, which is really important.
A similar sentiment about the value of art spaces and communities is echoed by Tom Struhler, a retired public educator who now paints in the Armory.
Having a space dedicated to art whatever it is that you choose to do, I think is really helpful to allowing yourself to really be fully engaged in whatever process you're in. And then here, with having such an eclectic group of people who have different forms of art, it's just interesting to have conversations with each other about what we're doing and, you know, how that all works for everybody.
Along with the artists we interviewed, the Armory also hosts several others whom one can learn more about by visiting the Armory Annex website. In addition to the Annex artist, according to Mark, many individuals will join the Armory soon, as the main building will become a gathering space for the community once again.
So our vision for the future of the Armory building is to take this whole space in the drill hall and create really a vibrant community gathering space really focused around a food hall. It would be a number of food vendors, a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to try out, their culinary concepts here. It would also be probably like a brew pub or something here as well. And then in front of it, in front of our historic stage, would be this space here. And this becomes a community gathering space, and it becomes flexible space, really much like the Armory was always used as.
While the food hall and arts and entertainment center will constitute the main elements of the revitalized Armory, Mark's plans for the space don't just stop with them.
Some of the other aspects of the project include what we call the North Country Creative Center. The North Country Creative Center is an exhibit space that focuses on all the entertainers that were here, the nationally known ones, but also the local, rock and roll scene, the Titans and the New Dynamics that were on that stage every weekend. And then we're going to have a special area set aside for an exhibit on Bob Dylan because he's so important. And really, we really don't have a space to talk about Bob in Duluth right now. Another thing that's very near and dear to my heart is our Music Resource Center program, and that's an after-school music program for teenagers. We've got professional grade instruments, we've got recording equipment, we've got professional musicians that are instructors, and this is just a place where kids can explore their passion for music.
With its historic past, vibrant present, and intriguing future, the Duluth Armory stands as a pillar of the arts, culture, and history of the city. Beyond the Twin Ports region, creative placemaking initiatives such as this proliferate around the world. As an artist myself, who works with film, writing, music, and augmented space, I cannot help but feel excited for what the future holds for such locations.
So right now, the vision is that we would begin construction probably the next July 23 with an opening date of November of 24.